I feel like a fool. Can't shoot straight when I go shoot pool.
Our story begins this week with a trip up to the Twin Cities to take a advanced motorcycle skills class. Well, we're up in the Twin Cities for a rider safety course. Had to get up at 4:30 in the morning to get here. Kurt's right there. It's all his fault. We're here in the snow.
Fault. It's my credit.
So there's another story I need to tell that happened as we went up for this rider's education class. On the way up, I had to pull over as we checked maps, and I hit my flasher and my bike threw a code. So when we were done with class, we went to Twin Cities Harley-Davidson to get the code read, and it turned out to be something to do with the turn signal that was very minor. Anyway, when we had talked about which Harley dealership do we want to go to, we talked about Twin Cities, and we also talked about Lakeville. And as we were riding home and went through Lakeville, I told Kurt that, we could just go home, and he's like, well, if you're not in a hurry, let's go swing over there and take a look. And I've been looking at the Snake Venom, I think it is, edition of the Street Glide that came out for 2021. I first saw it at Rochester Harley, and I've been looking at it at all the Harley dealers ever since. And when we got into Lakeville, they had one that was purchased and driven for 50 miles and brought back. So it was the cheapest one I had seen by probably an order of magnitude of $2,000 or $3,000. I talked to Amanda, and I really thought that was a bike I was going to ride home. But I knew I wouldn't probably ride it home that day. So I was going to continue into the Lakeville shop and take a look at T-shirts and things of this nature, and that's when I saw her. You see, in 2016, I fell in love with the Softail Slim S. And I remember saying, I'm not going to buy it because it was more money than I wanted to spend when it was new. I'll buy it used. Well, the trouble is, I've never seen one come up used, and for the last year or so, I've been kicking myself about it. As luck would have it, on the previous day, somebody brought theirs into Lakeville. I don't know much about it other than she really did not want to get rid of it. And I promised myself long ago that if I ever saw one on a showroom floor, it was coming home with me. So the surprise bike that I picked up yesterday was the 2016 Softail Slim S. And I will absolutely baby her. So the other thing is the person who had it before me did pretty much all the upgrades I would do. Vance and Hine 2-to-1, Mustang seat. Not sure that I would have put saddlebags on it. I think I would have probably chose the swing arm, but I like the way it looks nonetheless.
New Softail. Go ahead.
It's Thursday morning already. I'm rocking my coffee. We're going to do a little bit of unboxing. And the first thing I'm going to look at is I picked up some of this 550 paracord. No, that's nothing special. I have tons of this. But this particular paracord has in its core the typical nylon for the inner core, but it also has some, I don't know if it's wax coated or what, but I saw it on one of the podcasts I watch. It's a core meant to be kindling for fire starting. And I see that it's been sealed off, so I'm not going to look at it, but ultimately the idea is you get all the typical utility that you would get out of 550, and I always have this in my saddlebag and my camping gear, etc. But you also get one of the cords as kindling and fire starter. This makes this a fantastic utility to have if you've made yourself like a paracord bracelet or possibly a keychain. The podcast that I was watching, he had it as a single cord lanyard for holding some of his kit. Anyway, I'm excited to try some of this. I'll probably cut off a little bit of it, try some of the kindling, and see how well it does with the fire steel. And speaking of fire steel, the other thing that I picked up is almost cliche, but I wanted to see if possibly this would be something I could put into my saddlebag and reduce the amount of stuff that I bring along. You know, typically I've got first aid kits and tools and the fixed blade. And, I'm a firm believer in using good tools for the job, but there are some people that are swearing by these silly things. And so I thought I would check one out to see what the hype's about. So the first thing I can see is I can replace this with the new paracord I bought, which will be kind of nice. Okay, and if I take all the pieces out of the bag, this is what I've got. One section that has a window breaker, and if I take that off, we've got a fire steel. I take the fire steel out, there's a emergency whistle, and it is very loud. So that's good. I'll connect it back up to that end. So some of these had a photo attachment instead of the windshield breaker on the end, and I kind of wish I had that. People were like, well, that seems silly for a survival shovel. Well, this in my saddlebag with that attachment would be pretty sweet, and not as a survival mechanism, but if I've got a shovel, I can stick it in the ground and make a tripod where I go and still get the utility of some of the other items I'm looking for and looking at. This piece comes with a church key, and it looks like a small saw and a blade. Certainly not extremely beefy, but also it's not terrible. On a pinch, this will definitely do it. It attaches in like this. You can make it a little longer. These are hollow, so there might be a good add to maybe put in a handheld chainsaw or something like that to help process I'm not sure. This is interesting. I'm wondering if I could even use that as a wire stripper. Okay, I've got it connected up. They say that the edge here is sharp enough to be used like a hatchet. We can put that to the test. Looks like we have some bolt wrench type holes and another saw. The collar loosens and tightens so you can have it in standard shovel. And by the way, there's the handle all connected, or you can put it in more of a pickaxe type configuration. You know, all in all, without putting this too much through the paces, that's not too bad. A lot of utility in there in a small location. That very well is going to go into my saddlebag. You want to say anything about it?
No.
Okay. Andrea's doing awesome flames work on her batwing fairing. This is the very talented painter that I have working on my tank. So, very cool stuff. Love the metallic orange. Cannot wait to see this back on your bike. So I have some speaker covers, bling for the Street Glide that are from Karyakin, and I thought they were going to be pretty entailed. But the methodology is very similar to what went on with the horn cover. So there's adhesive on the back of these, and I just need to place them. So no big deal. We'll try it, and I'll show you what it looks like when we get them installed. And before I do, here's kind of what the speakers look like all stock. And there it is. And hopefully that decides to stick. We're hovering at around 50. I think I pushed the limits on the temperature. Didn't really want to when I put them on. I'm hopeful that as they sit, the adhesive will maybe take a little bit better hold. Maybe I'll come out later and turn on the Canon heater just to help it along. It says 24 hours anyway. And Kurt and I are going to be riding tomorrow in 45, maybe if we're lucky, degree weather. So we'll see. I guess worst case scenario is it comes flying off, I buy another one. Funny editor's note about those Karyakin speaker inserts. While I was meeting up with Kurt to go up to our rider class, I felt something hit my leg. I wasn't sure what it was, and it turns out one of those things flew off like a frisbee. I kept one for posterity, and anyway, I guess putting those on in 50-degree weather and taking off in upper 30s the next day does not make a happy speaker insert. So that didn't last very long. So I'm getting ready to roll. I'm going to get into my swing arm bag and pull out one of my emergency pieces of equipment that I hide in here. You want to make sure you always have a means of fire. You want to have a knife. I have some reset stuff and a cargo net. This here is one of the best things you can have, and it's got another mechanism for starting fires, a whistle, but it's a wallet. And what I'm going to put into the wallet is the same thing I do every season. Now, I'm not going to tell you how much cash is in there, but I will say ones are extremely important. They'll get you into vending machines and things like that. And you want to have money if the road takes you down the beaten path to a place that doesn't accept credit cards. So I always have enough for a meal or two. You want to make sure that you always have cash somewhere in your bike. So some may say, I can't believe you just showed that, but you know, it's just responsible riding, and maybe I misdirected and actually put that somewhere else. You know, my friends always make fun of me for being overly prepared, but I'm always the guy with the tools. And anyway, long story short, have some cash on your ride. And I'm going to put in my coat, and I'm actually selecting one that's kind of a really heavy sweatshirt for right now, and I'm going to put it in my Gorak Bullet, which is always on my Sportster. Inside of it is usually a mask these times. Hopefully that ends soon. But even in the winter months, it's nice to have something to cover your face. Now that I'm starting to break out the GoPro more and more, I'm usually in a full-faced helmet, but that's not always the case. And I usually have a hat of some sort tacked on, especially if I think I'm staying overnight. The Sissy bag has like a kickstand puck for when I'm in the hot tar or something like that, and I don't want the bike to tip. It also has like Tums, Advil. Yeah, I know I'm starting to show my age a little bit. And then below it, I've got a tool roll that's got basic tools for anything I might need if I have a repair. This is one of my lighter weight bikes. The Street Glide is full of tools. We're gonna start grabbing items out of the green bucket for the Street Glide. You'll see I've got just basic emergency, a bivvy, some paracord, some duct tape, a magnifying glass for starting the fire. The next piece is I've got this is a sweatshirt that I love and some Velcro strip. I'm gonna put the sweatshirt in there. Got my gloves. The other side right now is full of things that I plan to put on this bike. Pain is weakness leaving the body. This is kind of emergency first aid. So my patches are meant to try to help. As I had mentioned, you want a wallet. I do not have emergency cash on this one yet, but I've got my insurance card. We'll want that in there. This is something you want to have in all of your bikes, just in case of emergency. I usually carry a couple of different knife options, just because you never know when you're going to have a camp out in the woods. I'm going to grab this. This is actually a flashlight with a crank. It's seen better days. And it's got a USB charger port on the side. So that's a pretty decent kit for an emergency. I see this. If you own a Street Glide with air shocks, you know what this is. This is for pumping up your shocks. This is a little bag I made that I carry just different charging cables. I've got one for like USB-C, an old-time iPod, and I've got an old-time USB, just because you never know when you're going to run into somebody that needs a cable. So we're going to put that in there. I'll have to clean that up later, but this is worth its weight in gold. I've used that many times. Brake lock. I think the rest can stay for now.
And I think it's going to wrap it up for this episode. Again, I appreciate you checking us out. Please remember to click like, subscribe, hit the bell. And as I always end the show with, be sure to see the beautiful things that are around you every day.